What's up, YouTube? Philan Speaks back for another video. This one here is on the man who I think was the most responsible for the Sixers' victory last night. The beard who we just brought in 10 games ago, James Harden. There's been opinions about this here all over the place, man. And from what I've found outside of Sixers camp, most of the feedback has been pretty negative for James Harden. From what I've seen, for the life of me, I don't understand how a man who's averaging about 23, 10, and 8 or 7, about 8 rebounds, is considered washed. I guess when you were just getting 36 a night and 34 a night and 30 a night, people would just, when you all of a sudden now score 22, 23, you washed, even though there have been many greats throughout history, many Hall of Famers who haven't averaged 23, many who averaged about that, and were considered the best. Among them, Kevin Garnett, Tim Duncan, other players, man, where their average was what Harden is doing about now. And without, of course, the extra assists or whatever. Anyway, point being, man, I think last night the story should have been the marquee matchup between Luka Doncic and James Harden. Even though people make these matchups right now about Embiid and Luka because both of them are being considered for MVP this year. James Harden not being in that particular discussion is probably the reason for this matchup, which is very marquee, not being brought up. And I've always said the biggest comparison to Luka Doncic, the great Luka Doncic, who is probably surprised everybody, at least on these shores, coming out of Slovenia, and pretty much lighting the world on fire. Most Americans believe he's the closest thing we've seen to Larry Bird. That's pretty much the way the examples are made. If you see a white basketball player, he has to be compared to white guys. If you see a black basketball player, he has to be compared to black guys. I mean, I don't think it's anything we do on purpose. It just kind of happens. You know what I mean? Well, anyway, man, I've always felt like the closest player to Luka Doncic, or Luka Doncic was the closest to James Harden. Actually, that was always my comp for him. It was never LeBron James, though I get the LeBron James comparisons. Luka Doncic is about 6'7", 6'8", same as LeBron. He's an excellent floor general, a good shooter, and great playmaker. And LeBron is kind of known for those things as well, so people naturally make those comparisons. And also being that LeBron James was kind of the guy that Luka watched and kind of, I hate the word idolized, but I would say, Pat crafted his game after. But really, when you look closer, you'll see, I believe, more James Harden and Luka's style. And that's because if you look at the pace that they play with, both guys are ball stoppers, who are very ball dominant, who, take their time. They don't allow the defense to speed them up, nor do they allow the defense to slow them down. Not like you could slow them down any more than they actually are. When you look at their marquee scoring, their marquee moves, basically the same thing as the step back 3-pointer. That's the play that opens up the rest of their game in terms of, their scoring and even in their passing. With James Harden, when his step back 3 isn't present, he's nowhere near the effective player that he is with it. He's still smart enough to do some other things. But really, the key to James Harden really being the James Harden that we all know and want and expect is the step back 3. And the same with Luka Doncic. Last night, James Harden showed up in the building. Look at this here, fighting around Finney Smith, and that's the step back. There it is. It was in that third quarter, man, with James Harden. He started going off. You look here, look at the defensive effort. These are the things, man, and I'm telling you, the thing that impressed me most about James Harden yesterday was his defense. Was his defense, man. I'm not gonna say he locked up Luka, but he had a lot to do with Luka Doncic's struggles. Now, Luka also, for some reason, does struggle in Philadelphia. I don't know what that's about. When Ben Simmons was here, he kind of struggled a little bit here. He tends to tear us up in Dallas, but he kind of struggles in Philadelphia. But yeah, man, that look at this here. James Harden fighting around the screen and finding an open Matisse Thybulle. That's what we're looking for. When the step back three in there, I want James Harden to play point guard. Look at that, DeAndre Jordan. And then this is another thing I want to say to a lot of the Sixers fans, man. Like you guys, man, you gotta be a little bit more patient with the team and with what they're doing, and understand that this is a good roster, man. Don't get all caught up in listening to these guys, man. Whether they're on ESPN and these other places, man, that are trying to say this isn't a good roster. I heard this one clown say that there's no athleticism on the team. How the hell can you look at Joel Embiid and say there's no athleticism on the team? Or look at a Matisse Thybulle and say there's no athleticism on the team? And look at a Tyrese Maxey and say there's no athleticism on the team, right? These are the types of just ridiculous statements, man, out there, that these people put forward. And I'm not worried. Look at that. James Harden, man. He started to really rip it off, put the game away. If we get anywhere near this version of James Harden, man, I'm telling you, it's curtains. It's curtains for everybody. It's like, again, even when you look at Brooklyn and what Brooklyn is doing, they don't really have a true point guard. Not saying you can't win without that, but when you look at Embiid and Harden, they're working on a two-man game. Kyrie and Kevin Durant is never going to have a consistent two-man game. Yeah, at times they can share the ball with each other, those types of things. But as far as a true pick and roll, a true pick and pop, these guys, they don't consistently play that way. It's a my turn, your turn type of thing. And that may work if they're just going to shoot the way they shot against the Sixers. But they're not going to do that every night, man. I did a whole video breaking down that whole game. How it was real what happened, but it's a mirage when you're talking about comparing the two teams, man. You talking about you talking about a new team, adding a piece. Like they haven't added Ben Simmons yet, acclimated Ben Simmons into the offense. So there's going to be a process. You're going to see with Brooklyn of them struggling. That's going to happen. It naturally happens. Now the thing with us is that the Sixers with James Harden, there are some struggles. Believe me, they're going through struggles right now. That's what you're seeing. That's why it isn't looking perfect all the time. But despite of that, we're talking about 10 games and an 8-2 record under those 10 games, man. Really, it's not supposed to happen like that. That first night against Minnesota, in Minnesota, you're not supposed to beat them by over 20. But us Philly fans, man, we expect that kind of stuff. We think, this is normal. This is how it's supposed to be. Nah, man. What you have is a good team. That's what you have, man. Now, what you need these guys is to stay healthy. And you need these guys to believe, in what they're doing, man. And that was big, man. The defense that James Harden had put on Luka Doncic and the defense he was playing in general, the way he was reading what was happening and the way he was getting Finney Smith off of him and singling himself up against Dinwiddie and then cooking Dinwiddie, that was good. Because there was a little bit of inside little thing between him and Dinwiddie because, Dinwiddie being the guy who was in Brooklyn at the time before they went and traded for the big three and Harden kind of took over his job. So, Harden wanted to put him in his place. And also, he's up for the Luka Doncic matchup, man. The guy that's really the closest comp to him in terms of the style of play, the pace they move at, the fact that defense isn't either one of their strengths. And, I loved it, man. It was a great effort by the team. Again, scoring, well over 100 points. And the defense, man, I think is really what anchored it. If this team can get the defense down, that's going to be the main thing that's going to get us over the top, man. Yeah, and that's pretty much all I got, man. So, till next time, peace.